Hello and welcome to Real Hi-Fi Help. In this video I'll be reacting to the Verity Audio Sarastro speakers with the card-S cables and the Audio Flight gear. Quite interesting gear.
If possible,
Notice that there's glass over here, but that's the only negative thing about this room. Very interesting with the curtains. Very good idea. This creates a very different acoustic. This is the Verity Sarastro speaker. One of the best speakers I've ever heard in my life. Not quite up to the Audio Note A&E series that they have. But if you want something that's really informative, fast, flashy, but still with a good deal of substance and layering, this is like getting a Porsche or Ferrari or a Lamborghini. It's just it's up there. It's pretty expensive. I would guess it's around 50,000 euros for the speaker. It has a backfiring bass and a really good middle tone and an exceptionally good ribbon tweeter. You guys have to know that when you get a speaker like this, you can't really listen to it before at least 2 or 3 weeks has passed, because it's going to be very stiff and it's going to hold back the sound and might easily be very bright. I heard that several times when my friends had their new Verity Sarastro speakers, and I was so close at almost getting a pair, and I was really frustrated not getting a pair. But now that I have Audio, I kind of am satisfied that I didn't pay like 5 times more for this sound. That's just more flashy with less substance, but really good speaker. Tip for you guys: with this speaker in particular, you want to have inside boxes, wooden boxes, and also outside if it's possible. Having the inside boxes makes it a lot more organic, and having a double speaker cable on it at the bottom and the top, that are both single wire, the top and bottom, will make it a lot more organic again. So interesting setup. I think that's the guy from Verity. Can't remember what he's called. He usually plays decent music at shows. He's one of the better guys in the audio industry. If you gotta support flashy, high-tech, modern gear, support this guy. He makes some pretty expensive speakers, and it's easy to say, oh, I'll just take some B&W. There's more bass in it, there's more pressure, it's more forgiving. Yeah, you're right, but it doesn't have this type of layering space around the instruments and the fastness and the reaction and the energy. There's a lot of drama and energy in Verity in general. So yeah, I still think this is an awesome speaker. Love this curtain thing. Brilliant idea. I'd like to try that one day. Have a curtain area here. That would definitely do something good. You can also get this fabric on top if you think there's too much sound coming through, to like dampen it a bit, make it a bit more fabric. Card's cable.
Riders on the storm. Riders on the storm.
Pretty decent music. Good music.
Into this house we're born. Into this world we're thrown. Like a dog without a bone and packed around alone. Riders on the storm. There's a killer on the road.
So we've got some Audia Flight gear, and I'm not so crazy about Audia Flight. I mean, it's a bit bright, it's a bit mechanical, it hasn't got quite the substance that I'm looking for and the instrumental abilities, but yeah, I kind of get it, you know. It is an interesting, flashy sound, and usually having Audio Flight gear on a Verity speaker is absolutely no-go. Don't do that. But Cardas being a warmer cable, yeah, then you can get away with it. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video, to show you guys that you can take an amplifier that is going to be a bit bright on this speaker and actually make it work together by finding an appropriate cable that kind of compensates, you know, that acts as a negotiation link between this bright sound and this thing that can sometimes seem bright with a lot of transistor gear. So that was basically the reason for me wanting to show you this video. Let me just see if there's more. See, you've got all these cable supporters here. Here you can actually see on the other speakers, not sure what this model is. That must be like a Lenore or something like that. Interesting. No, I think that's the Otello. I think that's the only one I haven't heard yet. That would be interesting to listen to, because I also noticed these looked like Furitech terminals. That could be a very interesting speaker. If you want to get this Verity Sarastro sound, I think this will come pretty close to that. So yeah, overall a pretty neat sound, very expensive speaker, but you know, if it was me, if I had this speaker, what I would do is just ditch this Audio Flight gear. I mean, it's okay, it's better than a lot of the equipment out there, but with a speaker like this, you absolutely have to hear stuff like Jadis ear gear, like an ear 8L6, good value ear piece of equipment. Even try some more powerful Audio Note gear on it. Audio Note sounds pretty damn good with this, like an Audio Note Jinro, or I don't know, even an Audio Note Tonmeister Maishu, that could sound pretty good with this. And what I would do, what's important is that when you have a speaker like this that has a tendency of being a bit analytical and bright, but still fabulously good, so important to have good source material. If I had a speaker like this and I didn't have a really good piece of sounding equipment, let's just say I had some lower class Pass Labs or Mark Levinson or Class A or Macintosh or Audio Flight or whatever, you can actually solve that problem by not using a hell of a lot of money on those things, but having a really good source that is nice and organic, smooth and natural. And yeah, you could be kind of giving up some of that flashy hi-fi sort of world thing. But for example, if you had an Audio Note 2.1 signature DAC or an Audio Note CD3 piece of equipment, that would kind of, you know, bridge the gap and fix the holes that are in this sound and actually make it sound pretty good. And that's not only with this piece of equipment. A lot of gear out there that has a tendency of being a bit bright, being a bit flashy and fatiguing and flat, and you've got this like edgy square signal transistor sound. You can get it to be more homey by doing all of these things. Also this rug thing, if you had like a more soft rug, that would help. The glass behind the sitting position helps a huge amount. If they could have curtains or something like that, that would help a huge amount. But if I went to this show and I listened to this setup, I haven't listened to this particular setup, but I've listened to about at least 50 setups with Verity speakers. What I would notice, having heard all that, is that this speaker only plays like 10% of what it really can do, because it needs about 6 months before it fully releases the sound. So if you've heard Verity at a show, trust me, you've only heard 10, 20, 25% maximum of what a Verity speaker can do. Once you do all of these things, you start tuning into a really, really good sound. Also, on top of that, before I forget, what I would also do is use isolate mini sub axis, or if you're not into that, fine, but use something that's a natural filter that makes equipment talk together and harmonize. I've seen this before several times. I've heard it before. That's what I mean. If you were to take an MIT power bar set power cleaner that costs a lot more than that isolate box, you would get a completely different direction of sound. It would be like zoom, zoom, hi-fi effect, blackness, blum, 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 layered, Volker leading vocals. And then you got the snare drum, and you got all of these effects, just pure information and pure effect, cut dry, no soul, no integration, no organicness, and that's cool to start with when you're entering the hi-fi game. But if you're in it for the long run and you want your system to satisfy you for years and years, you need to know all of these small tricks. Also, on a system like this that perhaps is a bit bright, I would consider maybe also Carter's power cable, because we've got Carter's speaker cable and probably also Carter's signal cable, what it looks like behind. Also throw in a Carter's cable. I mean, I'm not a Carter's kind of guy, but a lot of transistor gear actually sounds pretty okay when you've got Carter's in it, and that's simply because a lot of transistor gear is flat, it's bright, it's mechanical, it's lacking soul. You kind of need something gluing it together that won't tell you too much of what's going on, but kind of, like be a diplomatic entity, just kind of balancing everything. Carter's is perfect for that. And I wouldn't know exactly what Carter's model to recommend, because I'm not really into Carter's cables, but Carter's is good for these situations where you get good high level compensation. So yeah, those are basically all my thoughts on this particular system. Thank you for watching, and please support the channels. And yeah, if you guys have anything to comment on, please do that in the comment field. Have a nice day.